that just couldn't handle compaction would just lose too much context and would just kind of get stupid when it happened. 5.4 pretty much entirely solved this. Julius, the guy behind T3 code, he did not love the model at first. I think he's kind of coming around to it. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he had a lot of issues with it. And one of the things that he likes doing is he likes having these gigantic hell threads where he will literally just have billions of tokens go through one single codex thread because it doesn't matter. The model can just keep compacting every single time it hits it, and you just don't have to pay any attention. Ralph loops were dead because you could just write out that crazy plan, and even if that plan would take 10 hours to implement, you can just give it to codex and trust it to compact nicely as it's going and not have any issues. 5.5 is not quite as good at that, and the reason is because it is super sensitive to everything that is in its context window. If you tell the model at any point within a thread, hey, could you commit this change once you're done making this? Every single time it makes a change after that, even like after you had sent that message and had done the commit, it will do that again. That thread is now poisoned with that information, and you can tell it like, hey, stop doing that. It's 50-50 on whether or not it's actually going to follow that instruction. It does not seem to do a very good job of discerning the hierarchy of user instructions where like you gave it an opinion early in a thread and then gave it a contradicting opinion later in the thread. It will not weight the later one higher the way it should. Sometimes it will, but I've noticed this is a recurring pattern and recurring issue with the model. It struggles with longer context. And this is definitely a model where you need to use it differently. You need to use it on low reasoning. You need to use it in something like Pi or Codex or whatever. I'm a huge Pi guy and we'll talk about that in a second. But the biggest thing is you need to be constantly making new threads. I have almost never let a thread with 5.5 go beyond 100,000 tokens within the context window. I haven't needed to because that's a lot of space for 5.5 because again, it doesn't reason all that much. It doesn't do that many tool calls because it's super fucking efficient and smart. So you can do, like I've had 50 plus message long threads that only had 90,000 tokens in the context within code bases that had 200 to 300 files in them. Like it's not unheard of for the model to not have that many issues. But if you're doing like a deep dive and a deep refactor of something and you needed to explore an entire code base, I would recommend doing that on high reasoning, especially if it needs to do research. You let it do the research, you let it do the plan, you let it do the exploration, you let it formulate out all the notes it needs. You maybe go back and forth a little bit on the plan. Then when you're done with that, if you were doing this in 5.4 times, you would just like be like, okay, cool, looks good, implement it, go away. You can't do that now. You need to persist the plan to a markdown file somewhere, then open up a new thread, set it to low reasoning, tell it to implement the plan. And even then, sometimes it also suffers from the not biasing towards action enough thing where like Claude models will naturally just go and do things regardless of what you tell them to do. They'll just fucking send it, which can make them feel really fun to work with, but also can result in them doing some really stupid shit sometimes, which is why I don't really trust them all that much. This model is not going to do that, and it's still going to be a little overly cautious at times, which can be kind of fucking annoying, where like I've had 10-step plans I've given it, and it will get to like step 4.5 and be like, okay, I finished step 4.5. What would you like to do now? And I'm like, finish the fucking plan, you dumbass. It's not without flaws. Would I call it AGI? No. But would I call it an extraordinarily useful model? Yes. I have been using the fuck out of this thing, and for day-to-day work, it